welcome to Svenglish, where you can learn English with Sven. Today we are talking about the present perfect question forms. We did other videos already about the present perfect positive and the present perfect negative and a load of other videos about other subjects. But the focus for this video is just on present perfect questions. So we will look at what are present perfect questions and how do we use them and when and why do we use them. We will look at the actual structure, so how to construct or how to make sentences using present perfect questions. And we will look at some examples using all different types of subjects. We will talk a little bit about regular verbs and irregular verbs, and then we will have time for you to practice at the end. So, present perfect questions. We're going to use present perfect questions to inquire about actions at an indetermined time in the past. So we're asking about things from before now up to the present time. Okay, now as always with the perfects, we're sort of more concerned with the action itself rather than like we're concerned about did the action happen or not happen, more than sort of when did it happen. Okay, so let's think about if you were in a professional context. So if you were at work and speaking in English, you would use present perfect questions for things like, have you sent the email? Have you called the customer? Have you finished the report? So in all of those examples, we don't really care about when, all right? We just want to know, did it happen or did it not happen at some point before now? Okay, have you finished the report? Yes or no? I don't care if you finished the report an hour ago or a week ago. I don't care. I want to know if the report is finished or not. Okay, when it was finished, doesn't matter. Is it finished is what counts, all right? Have you sent the email? Have you phoned the customer? Have you finished the report? If you were in a social context, like if you were on holiday and you were in your hotel, I don't know, like in a bar area, chatting to other guests or people that you met or friends, then you might say things like, oh, have you been to the new art gallery? Have you tried the new restaurant? Have you found the shop you were looking for? Okay, so again, we don't really care so much about when it happened. We just want to know if it happened or not at some point prior to now. Looking at the structure, all right, the way to make questions with the present perfect questions. So we begin with either have or has, all right, so that is sort of technically an auxiliary verb, and we decide that based on the subject. Okay, so if the subject is I, we, you, or they, then we're going to use have. If the subject is he, she, or it, we're going to use has. All right, so we're going to start with our auxiliary verb have or has. Then we're going to have the subject. Then we're going to have the past participle of the verb. So you take the verb that you're going to use and you're going to conjugate it or change it into the past participle form of the verb, and then you put your complement. All right, let's look at some examples together. So we'll look at one example for each different subject. So the first one, have I worked hard this week? Okay, so we know we start with the auxiliary have or has. Because the subject is I, well, we know we're going to use have, followed by the subject I, then the verb in the past participle, worked, because this is a regular verb, and then the complement, hard this week. Second example, has he played football many times? So again, the same structure. The auxiliary is has, the subject is he, the verb is to play, past participle played, football many times. Now, present perfect question, because I don't really care so much when he played football or didn't play football. I just want to know if in the time between before now, from the moment this person was born up to the present, was football played a lot or not? Has she finished the report? Same structure, the auxiliary, the subject, the verb in the past participle, and then the complement, the report. Has she finished the report? We don't care when, we just care, is the report finished or is it not finished? That's what's more important, okay? And, you know, if it was or wasn't finished, that was something from before now, all right? Has it rained a lot this month? Same structure, okay, have or has, so we use has, the subject is it, the verb to rain in the past participle, rained, a lot this month is the complement, the time period is this month started before now, and this month is not finished, so it's from the time at the start of this month up to the present moment, hence present perfect. Next example, have we studied English for years? Same structure. We've got our auxiliary have, the subject is we, the verb to study, conjugated, studied, complement, English for years. Two more. Have you made pasta for dinner? Have is the auxiliary, you is the subject, made is the past participle of the verb to make, that's an irregular verb. Pasta for dinner is the complement. Last one. Have they gone for a walk? Okay, so that's a time before now. These people that we're talking about are not here now. Where are they? Don't know. Did they go for a walk? Maybe. Have they gone for a walk? The answer might be yes or no, but we're just more interested in the fact that they're not here now. Okay, if they did go for a walk, well, that happened before now. Same structure, auxiliary have, subject they, the past participle gone, complement for a walk. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about regular and irregular verbs. So we need to understand this because as you saw in the structure, we've got our auxiliary and our subject, and then we use the past participle before we use the complement. Now, in order to use the past participle, we need to understand like regular, irregular verbs. So you've got all these verbs and we take verbs and then we're going to conjugate them or change them into different forms depending on what we're doing. So if we want to transform a verb into the past participle, then we have to conjugate it. Now in English, about 75%, something like that, 75% of verbs are regular verbs, thank goodness. And so those regular verbs, generally what you do is you add an ed to the end of the verb and that has become the past participle. So things like work, worked, rain, rained, finish, finished. Just add ed to the end and you're good to go. But some of those regular verbs have slight modifications. Okay, so for example, if you had a regular verb and it already finished with an e, like the verb to bake finishes with e, we can't really add ed because that would make it baked, which is a bit weird. So we just add d. All right, if your regular verb finishes in e, just add a d, don't add ed. So bake becomes baked. If your regular verb finishes with a y, then what we do is we change that y into an I and then we add ed. So the verb study finishes with y, change the y to an I and then add ed, studied. Study becomes studied. Then there's another group where you've got these words where if there is a single stressed vowel before the final consonant, then you double the final consonant and then add ed. So that means verbs like to refer, okay, so that would have a stressed vowel before the final consonant. So we double the final consonant, so R becomes RR, and then we add ed. So refer becomes referred. So the other 25% of the verbs in English are irregular. And that means you just have to learn them, learn how to conjugate those verbs as you continue to learn and progress in English. So that's all the verbs that conjugate differently. So you would have things like the verb to eat. The conjugation is eat, the past simple ate, the past participle eaten, eat, ate, eaten. It might be the verb to run, ran, ran. Speak, spoke, spoken. All right, so it's all those verbs. I'll make a separate video about irregular verbs to help you learn them, okay? Okay, now it's time for you to practice what you learned today, okay? So, I will give you an example sentence, all right? And you need to do two things, okay? The first thing is you need to decide if you are going to use the auxiliary have or the auxiliary has. And then you need to conjugate the verb into the past participle. Okay, so a bit complicated, all right, challenging. So we'll do, we're going to do 7, one for each subject type, and I will help you with the first one as an example, and then you can try the other ones on your own. All right, so our first example. He, the verb to play, football many times. Okay, so the first question is, do we use have or has? So we look at the subject. The subject is he. So for he, we use the auxiliary has. Okay, has he, the verb to play, conjugated into the past participle. It's a regular verb, so we just add ed. So has he played, then the complement, football many times. Has he played football many times? Okay, let's see if you can do the second one, all right? I, to work hard this week. Is it have or has? Okay, and how do you conjugate the verb to work? So the answer is, have I worked hard this week? Okay, number 3. She, to finish the report. Have or has? How do you conjugate report? Has she finished the report? Okay, number 4. We, to study English for years. Have or has? Okay, how to conjugate study? Have we studied English for years? Number 5. You, to make pasta for dinner. It's an irregular verb. Have you made pasta for dinner? Okay, 2 more. They, the verb to go for a walk. Have they gone for a walk? Last one. It, to rain a lot this month. Has it rained a lot this month? Okay, that was a tricky one today. How did you get on? Did you get everything right? I hope you did. If you didn't, you have to go back to the beginning of the video, watch it again, make a note of that structure, and then try the practical example again, okay? Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. Try putting questions with the present perfect form in the comments. Like, subscribe and share. And I will see you again soon for more Svenglish, where you can learn English with Sven. Bye.